Hello and welcome to our Week 14 edition of our head coach rankings through 13 games. With me are EdjSports co-founder Frank Frigo and again Football Outsiders editor-in-chief Aaron Schatz. So we're not going to go through the full methodology again this week, but if you do need a refresher, that is on our site and in last week's video. So we'll just get in kind of to the rankings this week. We'll start with those. We do have some movement among the top five and throughout the rest of the rankings, but our three coaches actually remain the same, but a little bit of a different order this week. We've got Andy Reid now at number 3, dropped from number 1. Matt LaFleur stays at number 2, and Frank Reich moves up from number 3 to number 1. So you're probably wondering why Frank Reich and Andy Reid switch spots. Said LaFleur stayed in the middle, but those two kind of switched with each other. And there are actually two calls that we can point to as primary factors, one from each coach's game. So Frank, why don't you start us off with one of those calls?
Sure. So there was about 6 minutes remaining in the game, and Indy had a 4-point lead on a 4th and 1. This is not an obvious situation because it can be natural to try to put the 3 points up in a very high percentage field goal to go up 7. But Frank Reich is on the mark here and realizes that this actually boosts their win probability by a few percent. So they go for it. They don't ultimately get it. Of course, we make that analysis pre-snap. But to really emphasize why these types of choices are correct, there was a perfect case here. They failed, but because of the resulting field position, they ended up getting a safety out of this. And you can see why even in a failed attempt that you can gain value in these types of choices.
Right. Normally, when you even if you get stuffed on 4th and 1 on the goal line, the other team is you're either going to get a safety or they're going to fail after 1 or 2 first downs and give you the ball back with a punt in good field position. So either way, you're probably going to end up with the ball in good field position just a few plays later.
Yep, and that decision actually increased the Colts' pre-snap win probability about 3.8%. That wasn't one of our top 5 this week, but it was one of the better decisions of the week, and it helped Frank Reich move up to the number 1 overall spot. Now, on the other hand, we've got Andy Reid, who, as we said, was number 1 last week. He made an error late in Kansas City's game against Denver on Sunday night that was a factor in him dropping down to number 3. Why don't you tell us about that one, Aaron?
Sure. There was 1 minute and 12 seconds left. Kansas City was up 19-16, 4th and 3 at the Denver 25. And instead of going for it, they chose to kick the field goal. And this is the famous field goal to go up 6 that you never want to kick. And the reason why is because by going up 6, you're basically inviting the other team to be more aggressive when they get the ball back. Now, was Denver able to get the ball down the field for a game-winning touchdown? No. Are they a bad offense? Yes. So it was not likely that they were going to get a game-winning touchdown. But it wouldn't have been likely that they would have gotten a game-winning field goal either if Kansas City had gone for this and failed. And more importantly, if Kansas City goes for this, and remember, they're the best offense in the league, so they're the offense that's most likely to convert a 4th and 3. If they get it, game's over.
Yeah, and that field goal, is no gimme. It's short 40s. It should be fairly easy for an NFL kicker. But if they do miss it, you get that extra 8 yards that you're giving to the other team as well. That shortens the field for a game-time field goal.
So it was a 4.9% win probability error there by Kansas City.
Yep, and that was our number 4 error of the week, which isn't something we see too often from Andy Reid, who, again, is still top 3. He's still one of the better decision makers in the league this season and the past few seasons as well. And now we're going to look at a couple good calls from coaches that actually gained ground in our rankings. First is from Mike Vrabel. Frank, why don't you tell us about this? And this one was really interesting.
Yeah, this is interesting because it's hard to get a 4th down decision that has this much impact in the first quarter. But this was an example of a choice where they had a 4th and 1 on the Cleveland 42, and it's right in that sweet spot. They were trailing by 3. The go here boosts their win probability by over 8%. And like I said, that's about as much as you will see as a gain on these types of decisions this early in the game. So Vrabel was on mark on this.
Yeah, but with that powerful rushing offense Tennessee has with Derrick Henry, one of the best runners in the game, pretty much a no-brainer, like you said. And they failed. Despite the failure, though, it was the fourth best decision of Week 13. And that caused part of the reason that Vrabel moved up 3 spots to number 12 overall, and he moved up 4 spots to 23rd in CCI, which is the fourth down decision-making metric. And now another coach is Sean McDermott, who also moves up 3 spots, and he's now in the top 5 at number 5. So that Buffalo-San Francisco game on Monday night, the second game, began with a 4th and goal go from the 1-yard line for each team. Now, both coaches made the correct decision. They were stopped, but it was still the correct decision pre-snap. Now, McDermott's on the opening drive of the game increased Buffalo's pre-snap GWC about 3.6%, but his best call actually came later in the half. Which one was that, Aaron?
Yeah, 3 minutes, 16 seconds left in the second quarter, and it was 4th and 1 on the San Francisco 5 with the game tied at 7. And so you think, oh, well, we'll kick a field goal here, we'll take the lead. But remember, the goal of football is not to take the lead. The goal is to win the game at the end. So 4th and 1 on the San Francisco 5. McDermott chose to go for it. That was a 5.1% win probability change before the snap, which was the best 4th down decision of the week, fifth best 4th down decision of the week. And Devin Singletary went left end and did pick up the yard, and the Bills went on to score a touchdown.
Yep, and as we know there, the Bills went on to win that one pretty handily with that touchdown there, being a helping part of that. So with that, those are the top 3 coaches this week, some of those movers, one of those moving up into the top 5. We'll look at kind of, like we said last week, expectations for the rest of the season. As we've seen this week, there can be quite a bit of movement week to week. We saw some coaches move up, 3-4 spots. We saw that top 3 shuffle just a little bit. But we will be unveiling our Coach of the Year. It's our first official Coach of the Year award this year after Week 16. We've had one a little unofficial the last couple of years, but this is the big one. What do you guys see? Who do you expect to be Coach of the Year this year?
I think you have to be looking at Frank Reich. We've been watching him for a while and really seeing his decision-making improve. He's unapologetic when he goes for something and it fails. He follows the math. He follows the analytics. We now see him at the top of our list. I think there's a really good chance he's going to emerge as our Coach of the Year. But it's like you said, Ian, it's going to, there's still some time left. This can still shuffle around a bit.
Yeah, I would agree there. I think Reich is the best bet because I don't think in the EPI that measures how well a team is playing overall, I don't see the Colts particularly falling back any. I don't see the Chiefs or Packers falling back any either, but with Reich making such good 4th down decisions, I think we're going to end up with him on top.
Yeah, I could see Reich going. I could see Reid, but I'm going to go with my man Matt LaFleur with my Packers there. I think he's going to take the Coach of the Year. I might even pick the Packers to win the Super Bowl there. So we'll have to just wait and see how this shakes out over the next few weeks. Just tune in, each week, check back with us to see how these shape up. We'll always have updates on our website as well at edjsports.com. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.